Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for InsideTrack's Master User Group, also known as the MUG. The MUG series has been created to guide InsideTrack current and future users to maximize the full power of InsideTrack. This is a monthly series happening the last Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern. Each week, we're going to feature a different core InsideTrack report or tool, and that information will be shared to you via a live demo, master user insight, Q&A. Our goal is to get you to feel equipped to utilize all that InsideTrack offers you. So before we get started today, just a couple of quick little housekeeping things to cover. Today is being recorded, so you can share that, watch that back anytime you like, and you can access it from the InsideTrack website. I've also included that link in the chat section today, so you can check that out there. And most importantly, we are encouraging lots of questions. Today is about you. We are here to listen and ask questions to help you feel the most prepared and equipped to use these tools. So please don't hold back. Use that question section in the GoToWebinar window. Now that we have that lay of the land, it's time to dig into today's MUG topic, the price range widget. The fabulous resource of InsideTrack is going to take a look at the various prices you're paying for the same items across different distributors and more to get you all feeling like your master user status. Today's InsideTrack team will take us through a high-level view of the software, then a demo of the price range report, and then we will pull in Gordon Class of Wood Ranch, our master user, for his insight on success and how he masters all that he does. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Scott Delaporta and the InsideTrack team to get started.
Great. Thank you, Jillian.
Perfect, thank you.
Can you share your screen? So we want to welcome all the current users of InsideTrack, and we also have a lot of new users on this webinar. And we just want to talk quickly about what InsideTrack does. We are a complete spend management platform. And let's face it, your distributor data is your most important resource. And that starts every day by us receiving distributor data from over 1,000 distributors. And cleaning, organizing, and mapping those internal item numbers to a manufacturer, that's what makes our system tick and tie. With that being said, distributor data, and this is from not just broadliners, it could be every segment, whether it's liquor, linen, whoever can report, we have the ability to pull that in. We also offer, once you have distributor data, we also offer contract and rebate management, will be next month's topic. But in here, we're a filing cabinet for those contracts. Easily stored, viewed, renewed, talk to the manufacturer, file your rebates, whatever you give to us, any document can be stored on here. The next piece is price verification. It's one of our most important features. I think last year alone, we collected $4 million in overcharges. So, you guys go out and negotiate a great distribution agreement and put contracts in place, and our system, as we're taking that data in, will audit every line, every invoice, every single day. That being said, business intelligent tools. We have plenty of widgets. One of the must-haves is the price trend report. That's a widget that will measure your spend by a category, by an item, and will let you know why that spend's up or down. And then pretty nice feature on top of that is we have connectivity to over 9,000 markets, and you can drag those markets in on top of your spend to make sure those items are going in the right direction. And on the left-hand side of your fingertips, before I go too deep, there's plenty of reports to splice and dice your data. As you can see, contract impact report is going to measure new contracts against old contracts. Price volume variance will measure spend, not only by price, but by volume. Advanced level reporting, really actually gets into the details. The widgets are great, but able to splice that in detail and kind of configure any kind of format you want, you can do that. And then easy reports, top 100 and top 25, that we'll cover in future webinars. And then that being said, just a quick overview. Ty's going to dive into the price range report, and we'll show you how our customers utilize that.
Perfect. Yeah. So right here, this is the price range report on the left-hand side. Any one of these widgets you can format. You can really go in, you can edit it. But what's really nice about each one of these reports is just starting in the top right-hand corner to give you a quick overview of it. Each one of these widgets has a question mark, and this actually gives you the parameters and functionality of that specific widget. So if you're in here running stuff, maybe you ran it once or twice and you get back to it a week later, you can actually go in here and get a quick refresher on it, so you can go back in and run it. After that, you have the ability to kind of sort it. You can sort it by descending, ascending, or however you want to manipulate it and sort it. You have the ability to do that. You can quickly print this widget out. So if you want to send it in a PDF to someone on your team, hey, look at these top 3 items that there's a wide range in prices, you can do that. You also have the ability to go in and click on this pencil. And what this pencil allows you to do, it's really cool. It actually allows you to go in, you can name the widget. You can actually group your spend by, if you want to look at last month, last quarter, last 6 months, year to date, last year, or maybe you want to specify, maybe you want to look at last week's purchases, you can do that as well. And then as I keep going down here, we have a distributor tree. So you can actually run your spend for a given distributor or a given opco within that distributor. So you can actually get granular or just stay at that high level view. As we keep going down here, we have this customer tree, and this is really unique too, because with InsideTrack, depending on how you run your business, if you have multiple concepts, multiple brands, numerous locations, we can actually format this view to suit how you view your business. So we can have this maybe not just by location, but we can have this by, hey, this concept with all locations underneath that, then you can open that up and run this report for a given location within a certain concept or brand or region. So you can actually customize that to suit how you guys look at your business. As I keep going down here, we have categories. So we can run this report to look at different prices being paid for the same products within your meat products category, or we have subcategories within each one of these. We have deli meats, we have ground beef patties. You can actually go in a step further and actually look at individual items. So within deli meats or within ground beef, you have bologna, chicken, corned beef. You can get very specific or just stay at that high level view. So really, just to get started, to get in here, is really formatting this report if you're looking for something specific, or if you want to look at the overall picture, just making sure all the parameters are set for what you want to look at. As we go down here, we have this last field, which is manufacturers. This allows you to look at your spend from a given manufacturer across everybody you buy those manufactured products from. Once you set all your parameters, real simple, real easy, you just hit save. And then what happens is this report gets spun back around and it organizes it from high to low. So what we're looking at right here, this is a quick example. This is showing a Gatorade product, a fruit punch Gatorade product. It's going to show you the lowest price paid for this product, and this is going to show you the price you're paying for the same product, as Jillian mentioned, same product that you're buying from either multiple distributors or maybe the same distributor, but maybe you have 10, 15, 20 distributor houses you're buying this product from. And it quickly shows you, hey, you're paying $27.72 at one place, and you're paying $55.44 at another. You can actually click on this. You can go right into it, and it's going to quickly identify at a high level. These are 2 Pepsi products. It's going to show you at Wilmington and at Worcester. You're paying $55 for this product in Wilmington, and you're paying $27 at Worcester. What's also nice about this, it gives you the quick breakdown. So you know exactly who the manufacturer is you're buying this product from. You know what the product code is. You know what the pack size is. You know the unit type. Was it a full, each, weight, whatever it is. And then you know the brand. So twofold with this report, looking at items that maybe this is an item you have a contract on. This will quickly pinpoint, maybe Wilmington didn't get the contract loaded. Maybe, it looks like Worcester got the contract loaded. Wilmington, the contract wasn't loaded. This is also something that with InsideTrack and utilizing the auditing service that we have, we'll be able to make sure, one, we get that contract loaded at Wilmington and get those overcharges recouped if there are any and issued back to you guys. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at this is, maybe these are 2 different distributors and you want to buy it. You want to start pushing your volume towards a distributor that's $27.72 and not $55.44. It also shows you for those non-contracted items, like maybe it's a vinegar and you don't have a contract with vinegar. You don't care what vinegar you're buying, but you don't want to pay double what you're paying at a different distributor house. So this actually gives you spend intelligence in regards to what opco within that distributor maybe you want to reach out to say, listen, I don't care what vinegar you have, I want to pay a lower price. What are some of the options? So this is how you're able to utilize this widget and go in to kind of see where you're paying more or less for the same products bought. And then as Scott mentioned, all these widgets on the front side, it's gonna show you at a high level view, your spend across the board. But on the left-hand side, we do have the ability to go in and actually run this report in an Excel file. So you can actually go to this price range report. You'll see a lot of the similar fields that I showed you on that widget, but you can go in here and again, you have date range, you have all these columns that you can pull in. You can actually pull in if this is a contracted item or not. So you can pull in, contracted, set your date range, look at the customers, really get in here and format it. You can hit run. And when you have all your parameters set, just like the widget, when you hit save, you can just hit run. And anytime you hit run, it's going to get pushed up in the right-hand corner. It's going to give you kind of this loading bar to let you know how far along the report is. Once it's done running, it's going to get pushed into stored reports. And then what happens is you get an Excel file that looks like this. And this is how the report would come out. And again, looking at the same data set, but being able to manipulate it, sort it any way you want. You're able to jump in here and you can see, in this example, we're looking at a chicken wing. You know who the manufacturer is, you know what the pack size is, the unit, total quantity bought during that time period. Maybe you ran it for last week. Lowest price that you paid, highest price you paid, and then being able to identify, one, is it on contract, but also two, what opco is charging me 120 and not 116, or if we go down to the next item, 2903 and 2954. So you can actually sort it by range and price, but it really allows you to pinpoint what opco maybe isn't loading a deal, or what opco is charging more than another opco, or what distributor is charging more than another distributor you're buying the same product from. And it's really the simplicity of it, and being able to run something and click a button 3 times to go in and to get this information is super useful. And being able to give you something back at your fingertips. You can go back to the distributor to get something fixed, something put back in place, or to look for better savings opportunities across the board. Let me just go back into this. And that's really that really is the brief overview of what the price range report will show you guys, and how it can benefit you, and how you'll be able to use it and create your own.
Thank you for taking us through that. Clearly such an excellent resource to become and have that spend intelligence. So this is excellent. I'd like to introduce Gordon Klaus, who's been patiently sitting there also from Wood Ranch. He's our price range report master user that we want to talk to today. He's going to go through how he utilizes this report for success. Now, Gordon's actually been a customer of both the GPO and InsideTrack's software for about 8 years. We had the pleasure of meeting him those 8 years ago at the National Restaurant Association show, and have been proud partners for all that time. He was born and raised in the hospitality industry. His family business of restaurants and the USDA meat plant in Illinois was a great part of his childhood and teen years until he moved to California, where he co-established an independent broadliner. Later, he cashed that out and went to work with CFS Continental, which was acquired by Cisco, and he spent 27 years there at Cisco in various roles until about 2013. He joined the Wood Ranch team and has built out an effective lean purchasing department, creating standardized processes and operating efficiencies, delivering ongoing impact and measurable results. So with that introduction, Tyler, I'd love to have you dig into his brilliance.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Gordy, for taking the time. Just want to walk through a couple of questions and just get your feedback on how you were able to utilize some of the tools, and especially the price range that we went over today. And if you don't mind, can you kind of tell everyone kind of what you use the price range widget for?
Yeah, I use a lot of the tools within the platform, and today talking about the price widget, one, I certainly look to see if my contracts are properly loaded across all distribution channels. Sometimes they'll be loaded in one, but not loaded in the other. The price range report sits on the front of my dashboard, so when I'm in there, kind of screams at me that there could be something. And as you shared, you can change that time frame that you look at it And if I'm going back over 2 months and it alerts me that there's something going on. But I look at it on the contracted items and non-contracted, and certainly what I find inevitably is taking place is that something's not fully loaded into the system, not your system, but the distribution channel.
Gotcha. Perfect. Are there any big wins that you've had by using this tool?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
you don't want to share?
Yeah, certainly I'll share, but I'm very transparent and I'm an open book. But I find situations at the beginning of the month where a given contract is not properly loaded in, or at a quarter or an annual agreement has not been properly done in spite of sending it to the point of distribution for them to implement it. And sometimes what I really find is that if I look at it early on, I'm able to identify those, and by picking up on it early, it may take a second or third phone call and an email to get it rectified and implemented into the system, but it just prevents it from going ongoing. And beauty of it is you mentioned about the contract part of it. If I miss it, you end up finding it, but then we're going back retro. So I'd rather catch it early, and you got to inspect what you expect from all your partners.
Gotcha. Perfect. Perfect. Next thing I want to ask, is there something that, you feel people in your position that that should they know, what should they know about this tool? Someone in your position, what do you think they should know about this tool?
It's another tool, certainly.
Yeah.
And in my case, it helps me to identify errors and manage our spend, but most importantly, to pick up on it quickly. And, it sits on the bottom of my dashboard. I'm in the program quite a bit, and much of the reason why I initially engaged with InsideTrack and Buyer's Edge was, even though we have robust systems internally, I didn't find them easy to work with. And I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. I'd much rather have something that I looked at back then as best of breed that would allow me to consolidate all my direct spend. So when I'm able to get into this, I'm just not looking, it's a single depository for our spend data. And that doesn't require me to go through multiple programs to get the data that I need to get, especially being that most of those programs require a manual to use. This is just intuitive. You can't break the system. You won't let me do that. But when I go on in there, it's just.
You can try.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet. Nobody's called me on it. But I think that the ability to have that immediate access. You demonstrated, Tyler, when you went to run the report. I'm in there enough that I know at which times of the month others are in there running it, because instead of it taking 1 minute, it takes 3 minutes for me to get the data. When I went on board at Wood Ranch, it would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours to get half the amount of the data. And then I'd spend another 5 hours manipulating it to get it in a way that it became valuable to me and for what the purpose was. And just doing that all the time didn't make sense. It's just not good use of our time.
Is there anything else you want to share in regards to your experience with the, the price range widget, or just InsideTrack as a whole? I'm going to talk to the audience about that.
Yeah, I think that couple things. It tells me an important story. When I get on there, I can see it. Then I can take an actionable activity to find out the reasons why. What I know from my distribution background is that many times distributors don't want to give you access to a lot of information. This provides, the platform itself provides a lot of information to go back over years, and go back from last week or 2 days ago. But what I find is that all operators, when they give you their data, then you've got 7, 8 different ways to get on in and pull that data. They're not all configured the same to try to use that data creates, let alone remembering your password. And, if you use a password keeper, you're good on it. But many times they're on demand and you need to reach out to the supplier for that. But what I see in the program is it just configures my data in a way that I become comfortable with. It's user friendly. I'm able to see, am I being overcharged? Are my stores ordering the right products, the contracted products? I'm on a lockdown order guide, but especially during this past year, we've had to take what we can get in certain situations as a result of COVID and challenges in the supply chain.
Mhm.
So those items have to be unrestricted for us to be able to order. And then nobody goes back in and restricts them when the product comes back into stock. So it sits out there and people can inadvertently order that, and it allows me to police that or at least see where it's taken place. But it also allows in a great way for me to go on back and look at our overall spend and how these changes in the market have impacted our spend. Certainly, I don't have a crystal ball, but at some point we're going to see inflation. And as you look at resetting your menu and your profitability in your restaurants, at least in our case with ours, I get asked, what's inflation? What have we seen the last 3 months? What have we seen the last 6 months? Is we all sit down to figure out what we need to charge. Because when you look at that data historically, that's old data on what you paid. But it keeps my eyes on the data. I'm able to utilize the program that with great predictability and ease, and the insight and the variance that we are able to see from the widget and from other aspects of the program looks to give me a better view of what our spend is and where it's going. I hope that answered your question.
That more than answered. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is centralizing all that data in one spot from multiple sources and being able to just, really the key thing that you hit on just with the simplicity of it as well. Being able to take in things from complex data sources and being able to have that simple view of all of your spend in one spot. No, more than answered it. Next question I got for you. I can check your login, but how often? I'm just weekly, monthly. How often do you look at the report, and how do you know when it's time to give a thorough look at a report, especially the price range report?
I'm in the price range report. Again, it sits on the front of my dashboard, and I just peek at it. And it doesn't give me everything I need because it requires some activity.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get into the other programs that you'll be showing on future webinars. But I'm in there quite frequently. I'm using data to run by case volume reports, supplier cases. I'm looking for certainly on bill backs, whether they're quarterly or semi-annual or annual. But I'm in the program probably 4, 5 times a week, some weeks maybe 2 or 3 times, but I'm constantly looking at the data because not only is it from a price point, but there's much I can get out of it. So when I sit down and prepare for a manufacturer review, I've come to the meeting with more data than they have. And it's good to have that knowledge to make sure we can sit and talk about where we were, where we are, and where we're going with respect to our relationship.
Perfect. Is there any impactful discovery that you made, using this type of report? And what was the next step you took after uncovering, maybe a price disparity, or what was the end result of something like that?
Yeah, the supplier agreement's not properly loaded. When I peel that back and look at it and find out what the issue is, it could take yet another interaction with the distributor to resolve it. It's frustrating. But sometimes it's just across different points of distribution where it wasn't fully loaded, or they missed an item, or somebody didn't do it the right way. But it alerts me to where I need to spend some attention. And I've gotten results out of it. Again, I think the biggest thing is if I miss it, you find it. And then it's no different. It's like I look and say, why didn't I get it? You know, you guys caught me sleeping on the job.
Safety net, Jordan.
Again.
Awesome. Last question I got for you, with finding those, pricing discrepancies or disparities, or maybe pricing is not loaded, how do distributors usually react when you share, that information with them, or any tips you have for, how to get these issues resolved swiftly?
That's a challenge. Certainly this past year, we see a lot of people doing less with far less in human capital. We see a lot of transformation within our supply chain partners. It's hard to get people to really do things timely, and it's important. But I think I said earlier, you always need to inspect what you expect, and having timely, factual, detailed data that I can present to the distributing partners that basically are within the spirits of the agreement, and it makes it easy for them to process them, because in my data feed, I'm down to the invoice number and the date on it. So when I provide that, I'm basically doing their work and turning over the card saying, here's where the mistakes are that took place. Here is what is owed. Here is what was charged, what it should have been, and the difference before. In my years of being in the distribution business, the better distributors out there have the resources historically to do this well. But I found over this past year, they're not doing it as well as they once used to do. Part of it's because of technology transformation. Part of it is just, again, the loss of people that were passionate about what their role was within the company, and new people taking it on who maybe don't have as much skin in the game or are remote. But even the best of distributors can and will make mistakes. But I use it to peel back the reasons why, to get it fixed, and then all better from it. It certainly compromises companies. I remember in the distribution side, I used to always say a customer is the first one to tell you when the price went up, but the last one to tell you when the price went down. And in this situation, you're typically chasing money that it's because the price isn't right and it is up. It's painful for anybody, for the distributors to go back and issue credits, for them to be compromised. And, your word is your word, your agreement is your agreement. Mistakes happen, but the more you inspect it, the greater they end up performing, because they don't want to continue to see this ongoing next quarter, next year. And it creates variances on many companies probably on this call are publicly traded. We're privately held. Our distribution channels are predominantly publicly traded. And when they have to go back and issue credits, and massive credits, it messes up their financials. And then certainly on our end, when we look at our cost of goods sold, and we look at our food cost, and we look at how stores are benchmarked and performing, if you go back a year and you find $100,000 or $1 million in overcharges, that historical data is not as accurate. But having the invoice on it at least corrects it all the way back to those periods and makes it easier to report financially. So that's a big thing behind that, but it does get better over time. Nobody likes being called out and questioned for errors, and it makes it easy to say, you got to be better at this, and I expect you to do better. But yeah, it's an uncomfortable position for the distributors when you know more about their business that they do with you than they know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. No, yeah, thank you again. Thank you for letting me kind of drill you with a couple questions. And I think, Jillian, I'm not sure if we have a couple from the chat if you want to bring up. And Gordy,
Yeah,
want to thank you again.
definitely do. And if anybody out there has questions for what you just heard, please send them our way. But the first question actually is for Gordon. Do you use this tool to help with menu costing and pricing prior to rolling out the menu, or just on the back end to analyze food cost actuals?
We have internal systems that we take a data feed into that's essentially the same data, just formatted a little different, that gives us current price and cost out to our recipes and what our portions are. So, the problem is when you sit down and you review a menu, say twice a year, if you're relying on data that is seasonal into those or is not on a fixed contract, you take that data and that's a snapshot, how far back do you want to go. But prognostically, you need to look and say, okay, I just signed a deal on 8% of my spend, and it's a new contract, and this contract has a lift of 4% in it or 5%. That's where I can take and use this data to overlay with the team that's doing cost analysis on menus. It's a really good question.
Thank you. This next question that came in is probably to the InsideTrack team. Is the price range widget included in what I pay for InsideTrack, or is that something I need to look at adding separately?
Yeah. Yep. That would be
Standard
be
part of
included.
InsideTrack, the software, it's included.
The part of that? Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
And then of all the InsideTrack sort of reports and tools, is this the one that you feel most customers use commonly?
Is that for me or for InsideTrack?
Probably, yeah, for Tyler and
Yeah.
Scott.
I mean, I think it's a good report that a lot of our customers, the majority of them do use, just to kind of gauge what's going on with pricing and what's going on with contracted items and
Yeah, I think like Gordy kind of talked about, it leads into another report. So you see the price range report, you see things that maybe aren't in place, and then you start digging in, like we talked about the reporting capabilities on the left-hand side, advanced spend management. What happened to that item? When did it go up? When did it fall off? So there's just so many. I mean, it's just really an alert, but then you can dig in to kind of get to the bottom of the problem. But it's a must-have. That's for sure. Our customers love it because of that visibility and all the data and the normalizing products.
Sure, awesome. And this next question is for Gordon, but the InsideTrack team, I'm sure you can shed some light on this as well. From the price range report, what is the most popular category you seem to find overcharges, and if there is one?
Another great question. When you run that report, certainly produce, you see a lot of spikes, high and lows. If you're out in the protein categories and you're not contracted for a period of time, you'll see increases and decreases as you follow the market. It really depends upon the length of time that you look back on that report. Are you going back to customizing it to 2 weeks? Are you going back 30 days the prior month? Or 3 months? I would anticipate, I've got a finance background, and if just look at where we are today, we're seeing inflationary pressure already on multiple categories. Part of it just the cost of logistics, part of it's increasing in fuel, resin costs, many different areas coming into play. And the farther you go back, you're going to see more increases on non-contracted items. I think Tyler mentioned before on vinegar. It's funny, I was laughing because earlier this week when I was into it, I saw vinegar showing up on my report, and it's like, okay, how in the world do I have I think it was a $4 spread, and on the item, and I haven't peeled it back that far, but it's a non-contracted item with me. I don't use that much of it. But again, it really, I see more of it primarily in some dairy items. I see more of it where I'm not contracted, because if you're contracted and you're on a fixed price, you're not going to see any changes for the duration of that contract if everything operates properly. On the other hand, if you're with the market, you may have a contract that is cents per pound or for 30 days at a time on a protein or dairy product. You may see that go up and down as each month goes by. But I see it, I just see a lot of times it's just appears that something's gone amok in the distribution channel this past year, where they had to buy it from, didn't buy it direct, bought the product from Dot, brought it, intertransferred it from one distribution to another distribution center, and had additional freight on it.
And Jillian, and one, I mean, from the inside track, point of view, one particular category that stands out all the time is chemicals. So if anybody, using the system now, check off the chemical key and run that report. And that's always it's pretty interesting. But that's from our side.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll should see everyone that is now a master user after this checking out your chemical.
The chemicals.
And like Tyler said, they can check your login, so we'll be looking. Tyler and team, are there any new features that are coming out in 2021 that people should be kind of looking out for that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, we have a whole, since we're, now a SaaS company, we have a whole kind of rollout of new things coming out. And we're going to have the RFP module coming out. I don't want to pressure front, I think tomorrow, probably, I think next month, that rollout's going to take place. We have a Q&A kind of segment that's going to take place. And the contract management tool is up and running. So, and remember, a lot of these reports were created by the end users like Gordy. We had the data and they would come back to us and say, boy, can't you do this for us? So please, send in requests and let us know what you'd like to see, how we could help maybe, let you run your business a little smoother, and we'll put them in the pipeline. So.
That's awesome. Thank you. We're just about at the top of the time we told everyone we'd take from their days today, but thank you guys all, and thank everyone that listened. Before you do go, just a reminder that we are meeting again. We will be meeting every month at Tuesday, the last Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern. So the next one is on March 30th, and that topic is going to be on contract renewal. We'll have another fantastic customer master user there. And this particular contract renewal session is going to show you how to use InsideTrack to look at what contracts are in need of renewal and review all in one place, and easy to identify items being purchased by manufacturers maybe not on contract, and so much more. So to sign up for that, the chat is holding the link to that. You can also check out our website or contact the InsideTrack team. We'll all point you in the right direction. That next session, is going to give out 5 attendees a cold brew maker and some 1850 brand coffee, so definitely worth the visit. And then if you actually attend 6 or more of our mug sessions, you will be getting a very fancy espresso machine. So keep coming to hang out with us, learn some new skills, and take those prizes home with you. But thank you again, everyone, for joining. These mug sessions are actually hosted in collaboration with Folgers 1850 Coffee. So to bring you prizes and information on both InsideTrack and their delicious caffeinated options. Keep hanging out with us, and we will see you all next time. And then actually one last thing, anyone that joined today, take a look at your mail. In the next few days, you should have your very own mugs to join us in the future with, along with some coffee samples. So thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gordy.
Thanks, Gordy.
With pleasure. Take care, everybody.
We're going. Bye.